All right, guys, welcome to the third episode of the pod. Today we're covering the Raptors, Bucks, and Wizards. I'm here with Meng and Jimmy again. You guys know them. They've been in the past two episodes of the pod with me. So last episode we covered the Warriors. We talked about are they going to care in the regular season? Are they not? How effective is DeMarcus Cousins going to be for them? Stuff like that. Stuff you've heard everybody talk about with the Warriors. Um, the Rockets we also went over. We talked about the fit of Carmelo Anthony. We talked about the trade. Ooh, we should actually let's actually make a quick aside to talk about the Suns trade that they just made. If you guys don't mind doing that. You guys know about that trade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Rockets gave up D'Anthony Melton and Ryan Anderson for Brandon Knight and who else? Oh, Marquise Chris. Um, so that was pretty much a trade. Now, how do you think that trade works out for both sides? Let's start with you, Meg.
Um. Well, I think the it's more about Houston, right? Because they're the ones who are trying to win now. With Brandon Knight, they get another point guard into their rotation. They seem to have how many do they have? They have Chris Paul, James Harden, um, Eric Gordon.
Yeah, Eric Gordon.
Right, yeah, he's the main ball handler.
So it looks like now they have a pretty high caliber backup point guard that they can use, which I don't think they really had last season. So maybe if Chris Paul again gets injured in the conference finals, maybe they will still have a shot to win. Who knows?
Well, I don't think you're gonna be like making waves in the conference finals with Brandon Knight if Chris Paul's out.
That's true.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, I guess it's something, but I'd rather like sit. But he'll probably just be a regular season player and like just give the ball to Eric Gordon in the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah. What about you, Jimmy?
I mean, I think it's a good thing because it just gives them depth in their backcourt so that they don't have to play Chris Paul all the time like they did last year. And
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, because like last year he was hurt during the season. He got hurt in the playoffs. Like you want to just keep fresh. So this is just a good depth move for them. And they got rid of Ryan Anderson's contract, which was an albatross.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point you brought up actually about limiting Chris Paul's minutes because getting Brandon Knight helps you have some more depth for the regular season because like Brandon Knight's probably not going to get minutes in the playoffs unless there's garbage time in the playoffs, but
right.
You're able to make it so that okay, so now we can just kind of play Brandon Knight more in the regular season and maybe he improves and becomes passable against like decent teams.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well now we only have to play Chris Paul like 25 minutes a game maybe. And we can
Right.
What are you saying?
Or they don't need to stagger Chris Paul and James Harden minutes.
Yeah.
And they could play together more, and
Yeah, they're gonna be sitting. I think they're gonna like really reduce Chris Paul's minutes just because I think it's pretty obvious why they need to. And so this is a good depth move for them. And I mean, I guess Marquise Chris can be like a decent energy guy if they can get him to care. Then like I guess he can be effective, but we'll see about that.
He's still young.
Yeah.
If they develop him right, he could be really good for them.
He's young. I just don't know if he's like
his attitude problems are just really bad.
Yeah, I always talk about his basketball IQ, attitude problems not being great, and he's just kind of a physical freak more than anything.
He's a physical freak, not much basketball IQ. But if they find a way to make him effective, then that could be huge for them. They could turn something out of nothing.
Yeah, but like if it doesn't work out, it's no skin off your back.
But at this point, I mean, he's the third power forward behind Tucker and Anthony at this point. So like he's not probably not going to play all that much during the playoffs anyways. So I don't think that's the playoff. I don't think either of these are really playoff players for the playoff. They're players to just provide depth, I think, and potentially for Chris to provide some sort of like defensive replacement, I guess, because you have Carmelo there at times. Who knows?
And I forget what the exact number is, but I think they cleared a little bit of cap room by making this move and getting rid of Ryan Anderson's contract. So
for sure, definitely.
But they're still over the cap, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess they saved themselves some tax, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, they saved some money. But won't won't give them team building opportunities in the future.
Right.
Yeah,
Like especially if speaking of the Suns, if Ariza becomes available around the deadline, which is very possible, they could get him back potentially. Who knows? On a minimum. Um,
true.
and now to talk about it from the Suns side, my perspective. Well, from the Rocket side, you guys are pretty much said of what I was gonna say. From the Suns side, so I think we kind of glossed over that. I don't know much about D'Anthony Melton, but he was apparently decent in the summer league, and he was selected in the second round. So maybe he can be something for them. I've heard him compared to like maybe a Marcus Smart type player. Uh, and then you also have Ryan Anderson, who apparently is actually going to start for the Suns, which is interesting. I really did think they were just going to like try and start Dragon Bender in an effort to like not win a lot of games again, but I don't know. The Suns are in an interesting position. Well, I don't want to talk about the Suns too much right now, but like for the Suns side, yeah, it seems okay for them, but we're not talking about the Suns.
Apparently, there's something about the Suns that apparently Ryan Anderson agreed to take a pay cut in his guaranteed money from about
Oh
$5
yeah,
million
that's right.
dollars, and so that actually basically matched Brandon Knight's number. And I think they did that because he did that because they sold him that he would be starting at power forward.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. He just wanted to be in a place where he could play.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but
Yes.
yeah,
So all right. Let's move on. And then so we talked about that, and the Pelicans talked about what the future for Anthony Davis holds, the fit of Julius Randle, Alfred Payton, their off-season acquisitions. How are they going to fare without Boogie and Rondo, things like that. So, and now today we'll be covering the Raptors, the Bucks, and the Washington Wizards. So today, we're going to start off with the Toronto Raptors. Off-season moves. We know they had the big trade where they acquired where they acquired Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, and and cash from the Spurs for DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and the 2019 top 20 protected first rounder. They also re-signed Fred VanVleet to a 2-year, $18 million deal, and signed Greg Monroe to a 1-year veteran minimum, $2.2 million deal. And so let's start off by talking about the hot button topic, Kawhi. First, I want some opinions. Do you guys think he's going to have an MVP type season, or care about playing well? Let's start with you, May.
Well, he should care because he's in a contract year. No matter what, being if he's shown to not be effective, if it's shown that his injury is still bugging him, he will not get the contract he wants.
Mm-hmm.
He will not get the contract Uncle Dennis wants. So he has to play. He has to play good.
Yeah, and to add on to that, he turned down like almost $250,000 from the Spurs.
Yes.
right.
So to
And convince
justify
you the
that,
next
to justify that, you really gotta play your heart out. Like,
Yeah. And for people who think that teams will give him the money, just look at what happened to DeMarcus Cousins this year. He couldn't find the money he wanted in the market.
right.
That's true.
And what about you, Jimmy?
I mean, yeah, I think he has to care just because he can't just like sort of do what he did last year where he kind of just didn't want to play and he didn't have to play. It was because he knew that he was good. I think you have to play this year because and have to do well because you are not going to be willing to give you the money when you have one season where you didn't play at all and one season where if you play like ass that you're not going to get the money you probably want and in the places you want to go to. So I think that's where you have to at least have I don't say an MVP caliber year, but you have to be back playing like the player you were before. And that's where you got to be, whether you like to be in Toronto or not.
Yeah, yeah, I pretty much agree. Like, I think he's gonna have to play at least as best he can. There's a chance that he's not the same player that he was in 16, 17, just
Right.
because of the nature of his injury and the fact that he hasn't been around for a while. And maybe not being coached by Popovich will be kind of a culture shock to him. Nick Nurse is a new coach. We don't know how effective. We know that he helped design the offense that they used last year, but emphasize ball movement. But Kawhi, the thing about Kawhi is that the guy is an isolation god. He's not he's not a guy who like even though it is a Spurs thing, like he's not the guy who's like a playmaker. Like DeMar DeRozan is a much better playmaker than Kawhi. Um,
Right.
Kawhi's assist numbers have never been great, but it doesn't matter because he's one of the most efficient high scorers in the league.
But
So
he's also good at not being an ISO, scoring off the ball and such,
that's true.
or just holding the ball in a really short amount of time.
Right, yeah, and he's also like a very good shooter, so you don't have to give him the ball all the time. But he's not gonna be doing driving kicks super effectively all the time. So we're gonna see how that works and how Nick Nurse is able to integrate that. Is Kawhi gonna be a better playmaker? Is he gonna not be a good playmaker? So we're gonna see how that works out. Um, so moving on to the next question, how do you think the Raptors did in the Kawhi trade? I guess I'll start. I think they did pretty well. If I had anything, I'd say they won the trade just from the fact that they gave themselves a chance to get. They gave themselves how do you say a chance to get that Kawhi that we saw in 2016-17, and they kind of have him in an interesting position because, like we mentioned before, he has to play really well if he wants that contract with the Lakers. If it's truly his intention to go to LA or the Clippers. If his intentions are truly to go there, then he's gonna have to play well. So the Raptors, and we see what Kawhi is when he's on his stuff. So he can definitely help lead them to the finals. And plus, maybe you convince them. Maybe Canada completely rallies behind Kawhi, and Uncle Dennis becomes convinced. He's like, "Well, why don't you stay here, Kawhi, or something like that?" And maybe they just decide to stay in Toronto. So the the idea of the trade is that they gave themselves a chance and they felt that they had reached a root. They had kind of reached a ceiling of what the DeRozan is our best player team construction could be just from all the years that was kind of their team. They put a bunch of different teams around him, and last year was pretty much the best they got, and they still got swept by LeBron. So I mean, I think they probably could have given the East another chance just because LeBron left, but I don't exactly blame them for like going all in on what this is. And plus, there's always the fact that like if this doesn't go well and Kawhi leaves, then you can just start rebuilding, and then maybe it can be bad for a little while, and then try to go for it again. Because Lowry and Serge Ibaka's are going to come off the books pretty soon, and you can just like start Van Vliet, play a bunch of the young guys a bunch of minutes. There are some promising players like Siakam and Anunoby. So either way, you can kind of manage, and you're not like down in the dumps either way. I also had a question saying defensively question mark. Yeah, they're going to be one of the best defensive teams in the league for sure. I'd be surprised if they're not like a top 3 defense with the personnel they have. There's like no excuse for
Easily.
them not to be a top 3 defense with the personnel they have. But they were weren't they like a top 5 offense and defense last year? Like they should be like a top 3 defense easily.
They
Um,
should be, but I don't think they were.
well, let's move on to you. What do you think about the question? And how do you think how they'll do defensively?
Um, um, yeah, they should do really well defensively. They got Anunoby, they got Siakam, they got Kawhi, Kyle Lowry
Danny
is,
Green.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they
Danny
got,
Green too.
yeah. So they should be a really good defensive team, and they
Right.
should improve offensively.
So what do you think about like the about how the Raptors did and if they should have given the DeRozan Raptors another chance?
Well,
I mean, I think that you had that Masai Ujiri had to do something because when you get swept twice, in a row, like 2 years in a row, you can't just keep the same team out there and just say, "Well, LeBron's gone." Like everything's different. You can't really say that. You have to do something to change up the team a little bit, and because they're
That's
already
fair.
firing the coach, and you, I think that both. I think you needed to. It probably he probably did a lot. He probably wanted to shake things up a lot. I don't know if you need to fire the coach and do this trade, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe this is what does it. But either way, with the Sixers and the Celtics being as good as they could be this year, I don't see it as an issue.
Yeah, I think that yeah, personally, like after the Raptors got swept by Cleveland, I knew changes were coming. But I personally thought all that was gonna happen was Dwayne Casey getting fired. I didn't think they were gonna trade DeRozan and Lowry or
Well,
Lowry.
I think this deal ended up at the Raptors' doorstep more so because I think the
yes,
Spurs were desperate, like, and they wanted
yeah,
something. They knew they weren't going to get. I think the Spurs weren't going to get what they
Mm,
wanted from the Lakers or from a Celtics or from another team that was really contending. And I think that's why they're like this is what happened. I think the Raptors got such a good deal on their end because they were like the willing trade partner in this.
I see where you're coming
yeah.
from on that. It's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, they definitely did not know they would end up with Kawhi when they fired
Yeah, like
Dwayne Casey.
yeah, I think that when he fired Green, they know they did not think they'd have Kawhi in the end. But if you have a chance to get Kawhi, you get Kawhi. So
Right.
Both moves they just had to make.
Like the Raptors had something that they were pretty much that it just kind of seemed like they were willing to get rid of just because of how the DeRozan led teams had kind of failed.
right, and it
And
wasn't like they were taking this and becoming and starting a complete rebuild. They're getting a MVP caliber player in return, albeit maybe in a sort of like in a sort of similar to Marcus Cousins, where you're not sure if he's going to come back the same player, but he come back and he could be a game changing player for you that you really haven't had.
right.
So
And then
I think
The Spurs were in a
yeah,
situation where they had to get rid of Kawhi. So
yes.
it kind of worked out. They kind of coincidentally were in situations where they could help each other.
Yeah, I mean, it just because it's like because when you were when it was the Spurs, you really wanted to trade him, but as the time went on, Boston and Lakers kind of realized like we can probably try and get him or try and like go after him when he's a free agent, and we don't need to necessarily trade anyone to what's it called to the Spurs in order to have that chance. We think we had a chance regardless. So I think the Raptors were like, we don't. Let's if we can get him, why not? We're only giving up DeMar DeRozan, who is essentially who we don't think is probably as good as Kawhi Leonard, and if we're gonna like put both out there, and we're giving up Jakob Pertl for Danny Green, that's fine. So I think I think that was just a good trade for them.
I see. So also, do you guys buy buy these reports about like Kawhi looking good in the workouts or he's looking like the same old player?
Depends on who they're coming from.
Stuff like Raptors assistant coach Phil Handy said Kawhi Leonard is doing great. He's in great shape. Body looks good. He's feeling good. He's moving well. I don't anticipate any issues or any problems. He's working hard and he's a hard worker. This comes
Well,
on the heels of a
I,
report that Leonard looked
I,
remarkable at a recent workout.
I would say the first sentence is a absolute truth. I'd say the rest of it is just filler in order
well,
to him just to build up the confidence that Kawhi has. I think the rest of that is just him trying to like make Kawhi build up Kawhi and make them seem like they're doing the right thing.
well, you guys remember when Derrick Rose was out for about 2 years, and then the first time we saw him again was in the Team USA practices, and it was then the same
Yeah.
conversation. Derrick Rose is back. He has his athleticism again. Sometimes it's mental, and sometimes what if he gets injured again? So as long as you don't have, as long as he still believes in himself, and as long as that injury is not re-aggravating, he'll everything that assistant coach said is true.
So do you think that like the um the reports about talking about how that he looks good are like talking him up a little bit, or do you think he's gonna be like that same player from 16, 17? This kind of shows that, or what do you think's going on here?
I don't think practice will show what player he'll be in the regular season on the court.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they're talking about a good amount just to make him have some confidence and make it seem like we at least are trying to make it feel like we want you here. That's the most important thing. They have to make it seem like they want him here, even if they are just convinced he's not going to stay. You have to make that like effort, like on the outside and to him, like publicly. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of it is definitely just like we have to kind of talk about because it's like a PR thing, you know. Like we have to make it so that it seems like the we, hey guys, all of our fans, hey, all of our players, we got this Kawhi thing under control, even though that thing was just a fiasco with the most respected organization in Spurs. It's okay, we got this. Help us, please. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, any organization will say that. So
Yeah. No, like I agree. It's like they have to say that. It's just that like yeah, I guess
it's
just don't believe the hype like they say.
it's also a case where you just don't want the media to ask you questions anymore.
Right. They just have to kind of put on a good PR front, even though it is like, even though when you think about it, it's like this is a guy who had one of the most mysterious situations in recent NBA memory with the with the organization that most people would agree is the classiest and most respected one in basketball. So it is strange, but you have to put on the front that like we got it under control. We're gonna keep him, stuff like that. So I don't blame him for doing that, but I think you just definitely have to like if you're reading these reports, you gotta like kind of step back and don't believe the hype a little bit.
Also, the Raptors were the fifth best defense last year.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure I
I,
remember they were like top 5 in offense and defense because every time I turn on a Raptors game, I have to hear the commentators say that. So, okay. So what's next on the list? Okay, so I think we talked a little bit about will Kawhi be invested next year? He said he kind of has to. Will he check out earlier, have a 2016-17 type season? Okay, I think that's an interesting question actually. Do you guys think he's gonna have a similar sixth season as 16-17 with the Spurs, or do you think he's gonna step back a little bit, be more on the Paul George tier, or what do you guys think? Start with you, May.
I think he'll just play. He'll play as many games as he can, and he also has to show that he wants to play basketball. He wants to win. He wants to beat other players. He wants to play at a high level.
My main question, sorry to mislead you, but what I was trying to ask was like, how do you think he's gonna be? Like, do you think he's gonna have a 16-17 with the Spurs type season where he looked like an MVP candidate and the best player in the league at times, or do you think he's gonna like step back a little bit? Not necessarily because he doesn't care. Maybe he's just not the same. He's gonna be more like a Paul George in terms of like still very good, but not quite like MVP
Oh, like
caliber.
Paul George on the Thunder.
Kinda, yeah.
No, he's gonna be the best player on the court.
Hmm.
He's gonna try to be like MVP Kawhi.
I mean more like, is he gonna be like a top 5 player or a top 15 player? Is he gonna step back a little bit, or is he gonna be the same, or what?
If he can be one, then he will be one. We will see the best Kawhi Leonard we could see.
So do you think it's gonna be on par with 2016-2017 season?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I personally think I think he's gonna step back a little bit. I think the injury is just gonna be. I think it's gonna take some time to adjust because he hasn't been playing in a while, and like I think being outside of the Spurs system might kind of shock him a little bit, and plus he's being coached by a completely new coach who hasn't coached an NBA team before, I believe. And I think it's gonna be a little bit different for him. He's still gonna be an extremely good player. He's gonna be at least better than he was during those 9 games he played with the Spurs last season, where he was still like an above average player in those 9 games, but he definitely was not Kawhi. Um, So I don't know. Maybe he's lost a bit of a step. We'll see. But I still think he'll be more like around top 10 in terms of a player. So we'll see. What about you, Jimmy? What do you think he's gonna be?
I think I totally agree with you. I think that I mean, you have a season off. Like, I mean, I think that that's a pretty good amount of rehab for the injury you're having. He's not like he's a big, so he's not like a ton of weight on his legs. I feel like he can come back and be a pretty good player. I feel like Kawhi is also a player that he seems to be mostly pretty business like. So I feel like he's not going to. I feel like he's going to try and make this work just in his best way as possible, like to his best of his ability. Because I think that he knows that you don't want a bad player image on yourself that
Mm,
scares other
I
players off
might
from
be a
wanting to play
little
with
late for
you.
that.
Yeah, true. But I feel like at this point I think he'll still want to play with him. But I feel like if you keep doing, you don't want to play at all, and you get more players upset with you, you're definitely gonna like be in like you're not gonna be viewed in favorable way during free agency. Other players wanting to bring you in. So I feel like he has to want to like look like he cares, and I think that he will be more like the MVP season. They will be a shell of himself because he wants to do well.
I think that bad image of Kawhi is just from the fans and not from people inside the NBA. Because people inside the NBA, they're going to give a second chance to any star forever how long. We've seen it with
and that's why I think that
player.
It's why they're giving him that season of grace. They're thinking like they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt for last season. But if he does it this season, I think things will drastically change. His view of him from the players in the league will be drastically changed if he does it again.
I just think that like it's if you look at the reports and how like apparently this dude is literally being hidden from the Spurs trainers and stuff like this guy was saying that he wouldn't step into the locker room again, or things like just like all the weird stuff with his uncle in general. I'm just saying that might make players a little bit wary about, does this guy have a head case of a family or something? Is this guy making his own decisions? Stuff like that, you know?
They will ignore that. All they care about is what they mostly care about is how well you can play basketball. And your history of playing basketball. Like how many second chances did Derrick Rose get? How many second chances did Anthony Bennett get just because he's a first pick?
But if you think about it, it's like, well, are these guys going to get in the way of this guy playing the best basketball possible?
No, they won't get in the way.
Did they get in the way when he was on the Spurs last year?
Well, he didn't play on the Spurs last year.
Okay, so anyway, that's a whole can of worms. But I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's more about like, is he gonna be able to play like the superstar? Well, I don't consider him a superstar, but is he gonna be able to play like the top 5, 6, 7 player he is, or heck, top 3? I thought he was top 3 in 16, 17, but is he gonna continue? Is gonna be able to play like that? And is his uncle not gonna get in the way of it? You know, like I need to like be assured that like his uncle isn't gonna like make him sit games because he's not getting a sponsorship from Jordan Brand or something. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But I feel like I'm talking like Skip right now. But anyway, yeah. So let's move on. We talked a little bit about the playmaking part. I think the loss of DeRozan is only really going to be felt in terms of like playmaking from that position, just because DeRozan is a much better playmaker than Kawhi has ever been. So maybe you'll have a little bit less than that, but being an isolation god and one of the most efficient scorers and shooters in the league probably will make up for that. So I don't think they're going to be exactly suffering there. But one thing go ahead.
He averaged 22 points per game in the 2014 finals, and we all know how the Spurs play in that final series. So you can still have a system where you're moving the ball around and Kawhi is scoring a lot of points.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like he's not going to have like 6, 7 assist games like DeMar DeRozan though.
No, but maybe he won't have to.
Yeah, like I'm not saying he has to. I don't think the Raptors are going to be desperate for him to have games where he's.
I mean, you still have Kyle Lowry. I mean,
that's true.
It's not like he's gonna need to be the primary playmaker if he doesn't want to be. Like they have Kyle Lowry there, he can be that. I think Kawhi can be a pretty good secondary playmaker if they need him to be. Like I don't think I think they'll still have Kyle Lowry be the primary playmaker in that offense. Like at this point, because as you said, Kawhi was never that playmaker, but then I don't think then they really will have him be that one even still. They'll probably have him be a pretty high usage player because they'll want him to score. So, but I don't think as far as playmaking goes, I think they'll have Lowry take over for most of that.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, he doesn't need to be a playmaker, but I mean, it's just nice to have sometimes. And I'm just kind of like drawing comparisons between the two players. Like, DeRozan's just a better playmaker, but it shouldn't matter too much. But if it does come into play, then there you go. But anyway, one thing I did want to talk about though that I kind of wanted to add to each section of each team section was talking about some different lineups each team could run. It is kind of discussing what some of the rules for these lineups could be. So, for example, let's say I want to run a lockdown defensive minded Raptors lineup. I could go with let's say like Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, um, Pascal Siakam, and then Serge Ibaka at center. So, they have a lot of different options.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you, man. So they have a lot of different options. What do you think are like? And another way to frame this question is like, what do you think are like some like pairs or some trios that you think they could try out there that could serve a specific role?
Well,
Any
I think they're
ideas?
going to have, I think Kawhi, Danny Green, and OG and Obi are going to be out there for their defensive lineups. Like, it's either their top defensive lineup and have those three players out there. Because those you have those three players as your wings, that's going to be able to defend almost any lineup in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing they're going to trot out. And I think if off that, they're probably going to play like maybe like Siakam or Ibaka at the center, because that's will probably be their smallish ball lineup.
Right.
So I think that's probably something they're going to do. And then beyond that, I think they could probably play a pretty big lineup too, because they have a good amount of bigs in their front court that are, I wouldn't say are bad either. They have Baca, Siakam, JV, Monroe. Those are all pretty like solid like role players for front court.
Right. They gave themselves a lot of, and what I like is that they gave themselves, especially with this trade, that they gave them a lot of opportunities to run small and do switchy defense, or play big if other teams are playing big with guys like Jonas Valanciunas and Greg Monroe.
Right. Yeah. Like they have great versatility right now with this trade they made.
What'd you say?
They have great versatility.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. They kind of maximize their utility. You can play guys like OG Anunoby, Danny Green, and Kawhi at the wing a lot for sure. Now, what do you think there? What do you think? Do you think we could possibly see lineups that feature both Lowry and Fred VanVleet?
I think if you're going to run like a really small lineup and you're basically trying to, I mean, you might be able to do that if you're probably, I guess, I'm not sure. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to think of who would play off ball more in that, because I'm not sure who is the better, I guess, perimeter like scorer. I guess they would probably put more off ball, and I guess would that be Lowry in that respect? I guess.
I mean, like, I think, well, they're both very good shooters, so they help space the floor a lot.
Right.
So I don't know if
I
you're gonna
think you
have
could do
anybody.
that because obviously your shooting guards aren't like the best in the league. So maybe if you're really confident in Van Vliet's like perimeter scoring and Lowry's, that you can run both of them out there and also have that playmaking ability be purely in the backcourt rather than in the front court at all. You're playing Kawhi, let's say. So I think maybe that's also an option if you want to take the playmaking purely off the front court and put it only in the backcourt's hands.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you want to run a guy who's more of like a ball handler along with Kyle Lowry, maybe you try Norman Powell a little bit, but I
Right.
don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if the Raptors have given up on him yet. Maybe they
They also
have.
have CJ Miles, who can also run
Oh
be an
yeah, CJ Miles. Yeah, he
effective
plays.
two guard.
Yeah, doesn't he usually play the four though? Let me go in Basketball Reference look at the position estimator because I could have sworn he usually plays the four now.
He does play guard and forward. It has him as a shooting guard on Roto World, but
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
There's
Let's
this thing
see.
called positional estimator.
Yeah.
Okay, so last season he played like 91% of his minutes at small forward with the Raptors,
Okay.
according to this.
So, but I mean, as far as like, what's his height? He's 6'6". I think they'll probably put him back at the guard then because they actually have a pretty good like stable of small wings right now. So I think they're going to probably move him back to the guard because he's not big enough to play power forward at this point. He's only 6'6".
Right.
Unless they're going to run really small, like a really small wall lineup, they put him out there. But like again, I think he'll probably be a guard, and they can always put him in the back corner at least at this point.
Yeah,
I mean,
also,
again, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, also they can probably just up Siakam's minutes more if they want to talk, if they want to do if they want to play small ball power forward.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think like CJ Miles helps their depth in general, just like because he's a 6'6" wing who can play shooting guard for them. That's also another guy they can put out there for a small ball. Literally just have an entire like court filled with like 6'6" guys, 6'7" guys that can just defend you.
so Mang, we're talking about possible lineups that the Raptors could trot out there, like duos, trios, like could Lowry and Van Vliet play together, stuff like that. Interesting combination ideas you have based on just looking at the roster, stuff like that. Any ideas, Mang? Oh, he had to mute himself. But what guy?
I think the trio I'm most interested in is Anunoby, Kawhi, and Siakam, both in a sort of defensive switchability and athleticism.
Yeah, yeah, I
I would
definitely
like to
agree
see
with
that the
that.
most.
Yeah,
And
those are.
accordingly,
Yeah, they're gonna switch hard. They're gonna switch a lot.
you'd probably need Lowry for playmaking. Van Vliet, you can put him there, but he's a bit too small. And for center, depending if you want to go, really fast and switchable, you go with Ibaka, or if you want to be more traditional, you can go with Jonas. So they do have options.
Yeah, I think they just also just have kind of a lot of ways to also space the floor too. So you have guys like Van Vliet, DeLon Wright, Anunoby, Danny Green, and Kyle
Actually,
Lowry, who are very good shooters.
swap Kyle Lowry with Delon Wright for some minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
Delon Wright,
definitely. Yeah.
he's gonna come of age.
Mhm.
When was he drafted? He was drafted what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, he was drafted in 2015.
Yeah, I really liked him since the draft, and he's gonna come of age pretty soon, and he's a big point guard. And then
Yeah.
you put that with Anunoby, DeRozan, Kawhi, and Siakam, and you can have a full switchable where anybody can defend anyone.
Yeah, I think DeLon yeah, I really liked how he played last year. I think he played very well with with that bench unit. Um playing along with Van Vliet as well. He's definitely a lot better than what you would call like the third stringer point guard. He's not really like that. He's pretty much as good of a nearly as good of a backup as Van Vliet. Not quite there, but he's an extremely good backup. And I liked how he played a lot last year. So maybe if you want to put him in along with Anunoby, Danny Green, Kawhi, like Ibaka, like you said, then that's an extremely switchable lineup where like everybody's at least 6'5". So you have a lot of options presented to you there. And I think about covers up for the Toronto Raptors. Anything else that you guys want to mention before we move on to the Bucks?
Um,
No, I think I'm good.
All right, cool. Next we have the Milwaukee Bucks. Uh, this team had a few moves this offseason. They signed center Brook Lopez, previously of the Lakers, who I think the Lakers should have tried to keep, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. They signed guard forward Pat Connaughton from the Blazers to a 2-year deal. Details not yet specified, I do not believe. They signed coach Mike Budenholzer, formerly of the Atlanta Hawks, coach that 60-win Atlanta Hawks team we all remember. They also signed Ersan Ilyasova for 3 years, $20 million, and drafted guard Dante DiVincenzo to stand out from Villanova.
Hmm.
Um,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
When did they sign Boonholzer? Did they sign him before the draft?
I'm pretty sure they did. Did they?
Around that time.
Okay. So I was just wondering. I wonder what moves were actually like were he had any like really say in before they brought him in, because I didn't know the timeline of some of these, but I'm sure Ursan Ilyasova was his move because he loves that guy. He's literally playing every team he's been on.
We'll see.
Budenholzer also brought in some assistant coaches from the Hawks, so that's pretty nice. Yeah, okay, so he was hired on May 16th, according to Roto-World. So
Okay.
that was way before the draft and anything else. Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
pretty
they had
much almost right after they fired Jason Kidd, wasn't it? Also.
Pretty much.
Well, I mean, because they had an
No.
interim, obviously, for the playoffs. Then when they signed him after they got eliminated, I'm assuming that, or what?
Yeah, they got him like pretty quickly after the playoffs.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense then. All right. Yeah.
No,
then,
Jason Kidd was fired mid-season.
Yeah, he
right,
was. And then they had.
and they had Prunty.
Okay, so let's talk about the signings in the draft. Do you think they overpaid anyone? We had Brook Lopez for 1 year, $3.38 million. Good price.
Brook Lopez is a steal for what he brings.
Yeah, I think that's a good sign, especially for how much they need a guy like Brook Lopez. I think. I
I
thought
think
yeah. Go ahead.
Ersan Ilyasov was a bit of a overpay.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, I think you can justify this a little bit more if you like look at that season he had with the Sixers. Because like I heard that like some people also considered that Marco Bellinelli signing for 2 years, 12 million a bit of an overpay. And I'm thinking like these two guys had a very good run with the Sixers after getting bought out by the Hawks. And I'm like, okay, it's maybe not outside the realm of possibility that they were getting like offers that weren't too far beneath that. You know what I'm saying? Just because of
Yeah.
how good of a run they had. Like at times, like during the regular season, it just felt like Ilyasova and Bellinelli were like automatic from three, and they looked like very valuable pieces to like a good to decent team. So I'm not as mad at it when you come off like the sort of performances they had with the Sixers. If they had like were on the Hawks all year and they had only won like maybe 2 or 3 more games, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, well that's kind of an overpay. But I'm not as mad at it, but it is still sort of an overpay. But yeah. And what about drafting DiVincenzo? You like that move?
Yeah, that was fine. I mean, they kind of have a pretty like crowded backcourt, especially in the shooting guard area. But I mean, you draft him because you think he can come off the bench and be a fairly good role player for you right now. Because I think, is he kind of old or is he young? I thought he was. I mean, I know he wasn't like some over the top player, but I didn't know his age when he came out of the draft.
He was a junior.
Okay, so yeah, he was relatively old. He was probably his biggest. I mean, I think he just hopes to get some playing time this year, considering he's relatively old as it is.
Yeah, he's 21 and his birthday is on January 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I just think that it's just the backcourt's a bit crowded right now. But I think that they're building. I think they're just try. I think he's more a piece than anything for them.
Yeah, he can probably help. He can maybe help them out a bit in the future, play some spot minutes in the season. So yeah, not bad at all. If he can become a valuable 2 guard for them, then that's great. So yeah, I can't really imagine like them any players who were available at that point who they could have taken who I might have preferred them to take. Let me look at NBA draft 2018. I'm just trying to see if there are any players who like maybe they should have taken more over.
Yeah, he might have been like the best wing shooter available.
Yeah, yeah, maybe Kevin Herter.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Yeah, I'm not seeing like any players who are because his stock was really high at the time. It like skyrocketed around the time of
Yeah,
the
because of the tournament.
yeah, the NCAA tournament. He looked like incredible in the
Yeah, that always
NCAA
happens. And
finals.
again, like I more credit to him for cashing in on that as well as he could. But like I said, I don't think he's a starter at this point. Maybe he just more becomes like a role player as his like place in the league at this point. So
Yeah, perhaps, but it doesn't like kill you if he's just a role player. You know what I'm saying?
no, yeah, it doesn't. I mean,
If he just ends up being like Jason Terry, that's fine. You know?
yeah,
Jason Terry was a really, really good player.
Yeah, he's a standout role player. So like that's great if he becomes Jason Terry.
Maybe they also wanted that championship pedigree. He won 2 NCAA titles.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Um, okay, so what else we have? So not a bad draft. So a pretty decent draft for them. Um, so let's go around. Let's talk about how do you think the Mike Budenholzer signing is going to affect them? How do you think he's going to change the offense, change the kind of spirit of the team? Do you think he's going to what kind of impact do you think he's going to have at the Bucks? Let's start with Jimmy.
When you look at what Budenholzer did in Atlanta, like the 1 year where they went to the conference finals, I believe, or
Yes.
conference semifinals. They were a really good team. They were a balanced team. I think that's what he's going to bring into that. Obviously, they're bringing a balanced, like working team. It's not going to do runs through Giannis because it clearly isn't what was working to great measure for them in the past. But they're just running everything through Giannis. And now with the loss of Jabari Parker, you maybe you can have a more balanced thing where you're not maybe needing to put all the usage into these two wing players that maybe don't play well with each other and are not necessarily are fitting well. Who knows? So maybe I think Budenholzer is a good player, a good coach for this team because he had a lot of players he can work with and he can make it a balanced like team now.
Right. What about you, man?
Yeah, with Jason Kidd, I guess you will get rid of the more experimental basketball, and with Budenholzer, it's you you sort of know what you're getting. He will give you that Spurs sort of system. You're gonna try and use Giannis more effectively. And you're not gonna make him run point all the time.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see if because Budenholzer never coached a fully ISO system, or even with the Spurs, he wasn't in a complete ISO system. So let's see how he's gonna balance ISOing Giannis and trying to build a system around Giannis where he doesn't have to carry the load all the time.
Right. I think it's gonna be pretty interesting seeing how he changes things. I think they're definitely the way the Bucks play is definitely gonna change a lot. Just because I think that having an actual starting level center like Brook Lopez, who can also space the floor as consequence of him becoming a better 3-point shooter, is gonna be extremely invaluable for them.
Yeah,
Um,
Lopez will be a great fit for them. Last year in the Lakers, he's actually an underrated defender in some schemes,
mm,
which I think in a hedge and recover scheme, he's really good. That's what was one of the defensive successes of the Lakers last year. And with Giannis, you think switchability, but in hedge and recover scheme, he could sort of play a half zone where he's disrupting passing lanes on whatever side of the court, strong or weak.
I see. Yeah, and I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how, especially after the loss of Jabari Parker, like how Budenholzer is going to scheme things to where Giannis and Chris Middleton get their touches, but the ball is going to keep moving around, and I think they're definitely going to have a lot more interesting sets and a lot more sets that more adequately use like Giannis and Middleton's talents, and I think you're going to see some cool stuff from them. Because when you have like a freak like Giannis, like there's just so much you can do, and hopefully, and I definitely saw that the guy Giannis, he's working a lot on his 3-point shot. So if you develop that a little more and you get him sets where he can have some open space to shoot, that'll be great. So I'm really interested in seeing how Budenholzer's gonna change things and let's make it so that everybody's getting their touches and things might be a little bit simpler without Jabari Parker now because you don't have like these 3 guys who need the ball a lot. But anyway, what about you, man?
On Jabari Parker?
Oh, Jimmy, I meant.
For me, it's I mean, I don't. I think that you probably weren't getting the best out of him to begin with.
Best
Jabari
out of who?
Parker.
Oh, okay.
Jabari Parker. So I think that if you, and I don't mean the fact. I don't know if they were building their team correctly either. I don't know if they ever thought Giannis would be what he was and they drafted him. So I think when they found out or he kind of like broke out, they were kind of like weren't sure who to build around, and they kind of just sort of started picking up players, and they just kind of built a team that they thought would be good on paper, and it didn't really do much for them. And I think that now you bring Budenholzer, who knows what he's doing as far as a team building perspective and a balanced team perspective, because he did GM and that when Danny Ferry was gone. That you have someone who can probably take this team to be an effective scoring and defending team rather than someone who a Casey Kidd who was kind of like experimenting.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of good points there. So, how do you think the Bucks additions are going to change the team? Are they going to raise the ceiling, and how is the loss of Jabari Parker going to also change the team? I guess I'll start. So I think like I mentioned before, Brook Lopez is going to help a lot. Starting level center, underrated defender, as Mang said, and just a guy who is going to be here. You're going to be much more comfortable with starting as opposed to starting John Henson or starting um, Don Maker, not knowing if playoff Don Maker is going to show up. And so you also have Ersan Ilyasova, who's going to help Giannis space the floor. I think that's a little bit interesting though, just because it might put Giannis a bit out of position, especially considering that Ilyasova is basically a power forward now, and I don't know, Giannis can play like the 3 or even be a point guard, so it doesn't matter that much
No,
for him.
if Ilyasov was playing, that's when Giannis is center.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. That's a good point. And then Pat Connaughton. See, I didn't watch much of the Blazers last year, so I'm not really too sure what Pat Connaughton does, but I think he's a I don't want to sound like an idiot, but
He didn't do much.
what'd you say?
He didn't do much for them.
Yeah, it seems like he had. Well, it
It's
looks like he's like a decent 3-point shooter, so there's that. And
yeah, with these moves, it looks like they're just trying to build. They're trying to build more around Giannis. Like there was conflict with Parker because Giannis and Parker sort of play that forward ball dominant role, the both of them.
Right.
With these moves, it's more like let us get players who can thrive around Giannis, rather than it's a good player and we're gonna have to figure out how this guy and Giannis are gonna work together.
Right, and I think Middleton is like a perfect second option. So I think Middleton's gonna be really good too. He was already good last year with all the adversity they were facing, so I imagine Middleton's just gonna be even better too.
But
So
also, do they still need another playmaker? Like they tried it with Eric Bledsoe, but do they need someone better than Eric Bledsoe
that is
to take the
very
ball off
true.
Giannis?
Yeah, Eric Bledsoe was a bit disappointing last year. He just doesn't seem like he's the same guy. Yeah, they need a guy who can really help facilitate some real offense.
I
So
mean,
that's a good point.
with the Hawks, Budenholzer had Jeff Teague.
Right.
So Jeff Teague is better than, or how much better is Jeff Teague than Bledsoe?
I'm not sure. It's just that, like, I mean, they have guys like Malcolm Brogdon, who I think is very solid. I think he's pretty good. And Dellavedova, who I don't know if he's much of a ball movement guy, but he racked up a decent
Or,
amount of assists. What?
or rather, can Giannis he's just so much better than Al Horford that you don't need sort of as good of a point guard to replicate that pace and space system Budenholzer had with the Hawks.
Yeah, maybe not. I definitely like Malcolm Brogdon a lot, though. I think he deserves an increased role.
Okay.
He played well, I think. So what else was there? Yeah, I think all these moves definitely help increase the ceiling of the team. They definitely have, especially being in the East now. They have with Budenholzer, I think they have a much higher ceiling than they did before, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them finish top 4 in the East. So yeah. Any other player that should have gone after, guys?
I wasn't sure if I wasn't sure because I wasn't just what I'm still not really sure what they were really going for. So I don't know what if you really want to make a big splash or just kind of do what they did, which is kind of sign some small time role players and just build some depth. I guess because I mean at this point you don't know what you have in Bud as far as the coaching going for this team right now as far as what's going to happen, and you don't know if Giannis is going to stay, considering you kind of pissed him off last year with the Jason Kidd thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't sure what moves they were going to make this offseason. I was surprised when Jabari Parker left. So I don't know. I guess I assumed they were going to try to replace him, but I think that the moves they did were fine as far as it goes. I don't know if they needed to make any big splash moves.
I don't think they need to replace Jabari Parker. I think that what's more important is that they get like maybe someone who's better than Bledsoe at point guard.
That's true.
They need another fringe They need a fringe all-star.
Well, I feel like Chris Middleton is a fringe all-star. You guys don't think that? I think Chris Middleton is pretty good.
In the East, I'd say Chris Middleton's a fringe all-star.
Right. I feel like that's something. I mean, it's just Giannis and then no one else on that team. They put the money on Glenn Monroe, and he's no longer even there. So
you think they should try to go after Dragic?
I mean,
not a bad idea.
It's not a bad. I mean, again, that's also assuming you're not going to run Giannis at the point then, you're always like kind of like that was always like the whole thing where Giannis run the point. Is he run the point? Is he going to run the point? And. Right. If you want to do that, I guess you would not get Dragic, but if you're going to get Dragic, then you really are going to go in a thing where Giannis is not going to be the focal point of your offense now. I think that maybe that's what Budenholzer wants to do. But
maybe. Okay, so do you think they're going to be able to keep Giannis happy this year? Do you think that Giannis is going to not quite request a trade yet, or do you think he's gonna end up being not too happy with the way things are going? What do you think it's gonna take for Giannis to start getting unhappy with the way things are going?
How many years does he have left on his contract? There's still quite a lot, isn't there?
I feel like there is. I feel like he may not be a free agent until 2021.
Yeah, so they still have time, but let's say by not next year, but the year after.
Yeah, 2021 is a free agent.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he has 3 more seasons under with the Bucks.
He's on a heck of a deal.
So did he make the second round this year?
No, they were out in the first round. They were because Prunty did not know what he was doing.
So he never made the second round, right?
Nope.
No.
So he has to make the second round this year, at least.
I mean, yeah,
you get the Supermax.
Well, he has that's not the second round. That's the All NBA. Was he ever All NBA to get that
yeah.
Supermax qualification?
Hmm.
I mean, that's all. I mean, I think that he needs to make a second round playoff berth, and he needs to be on the All NBA, or he need to hope because they can offer him that Supermax. If they can't offer him that, then what reason does he really have to stay there?
Right.
Because especially if they don't win a second round, like in the second round again, they just go out the first round again. He has no reason to stay there. They're not getting any better.
Yeah, for sure. They got to try and make it to the second round this year. And if not this year, it's got to be next year, or else he's out of there.
Yeah.
Like, the guy is on a steal of a deal. He really is. Like, I'm looking at these
For right now, like he is. Like he's really like you need to like capitalize on this 3-year window you have with him because if you don't, like this is time where either you win and he stays with you or you don't win and he leaves and you have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, because, like, he's making, what, $24 million next year, $25.8 million in 1920, and
Then 27 and a
27.5
half.
for
Yeah.
2021, and that's, yeah, for Giannis, that's incredible.
Yeah, like you have to just do something with it. You can't let this deal go past you and not try to capitalize on this window you have with him right now. Like this isn't like you have Kawhi or like DeMar DeRozan. This is like you have 3 years of a really really good wing player, like who could be like an MVP caliber player because that's what they've been touting him as for the last 3 years.
Yeah, who could get even better?
Could get even better, and so like this is the time. Time is now to win for them. And if you don't make them happy, your team is going to be bad for a long time.
Yeah, I think they're I think they at least did a good job of trying to make steps into the right direction. So they're at least not being so I can't say they're being an incompetent organization or anything. So
Next
No.
year,
they're trying at least.
next
I
year
mean,
they'll have about 25 million in cap
The only
space.
incompetence I would say is that they purposely tanked to get Jabari Parker, and then they now don't have him anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I kind of get annoyed. Where I'm like, what were you really thinking there? Like that's I mean that's also probably the old like regime of like GM/coaching, but still like that's an issue. Like you can't like make that sort of mistake where you're gonna tank to get this player number 2 overall and then you just let him go. So like that's one thing where it's like that's where it makes you worry that if they don't make Giannis happy, they're gonna be bad.
Yeah, big facts. So what lineups do you guys envision for these guys? Do you guys see some lineups where Giannis plays point, some very switchable lineups, or some very offense-oriented lineups that create space for Giannis, stuff like that? What are your ideas there? Start with you, man.
For lineups, as I said, you have options of depending on where Giannis plays. If he's a center, you can have Brook Lopez. If he's a center, you can have Ersan Ilyasova. And according to that, I think you'll always have Chris Middleton next to Giannis.
Right.
And with guards, you can have Eric Bledsoe, or you can have
Delhi.
yes, and
Brogdon.
Malcolm, yeah, Brogdon. You can circle between those guys.
Yeah, just looking at their depth chart on the Roto World, they have a really good depth on across the board. Really, they can do a lot of switching and do a lot of just small lineups and just keep rotating players in and out of different positions because they have and as far as defensively goes, they're gonna have a great they have great defensive lineups in there too. Dellavedova is obviously your defender. You're gonna play the point guard if you want to defend the team's best point guard, and you're gonna have Brogdon or DiVincenzo out there or Connaughton to try and be an effective wing player. If not, you can move Middleton there and Giannis up, and then have your defensive lineup still. So I think they have a really good flexibility in all the lineups across the board.
Yeah, I just think that yeah, I think they're gonna have a lot of flexibility with See, right now I'm just wary about what are they gonna do about Eric Bledsoe? Are they I assume they're gonna try and keep him and see if like Budenholzer can set him straight and make
Well,
him a useful player for them. But I just don't know like do I really like do I want him to play with Malcolm Brogdon or should I make Malcolm Brogdon a point guard or like that that kind of
he
thing.
he's the free agent next year, and next year they have 25 million in cap space, so they
Yeah.
could do something with that.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
could also they can also decline Maker's team option if they even want to make near max space. Actually, they have options.
That's true.
I kind of want to see if I kind of want to see what happens if like they run like Dellavedova at point guard and then like Malcolm Brogdon as a two, and then see who they can put at the next three spots like and Giannis, and then like Brook Lopez. I think that could be interesting. I want to see if they can kind of revitalize Dellavedova a little bit, see what they can
You
get
know,
from him.
you know who I want to see them go after in free agency next year?
Yeah.
Ricky Rubio.
Oh, interesting. I can see it. I don't know,
He's pretty much like what they wished from Eric Bledsoe, but better.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ricky Rubio would be a great fit for that team. Um, yeah, I also kind of want to see if Don Maker is going to get his act together in terms of like always playing like playoff Don Maker, because playoff Don Maker is like a starting level player, but he just doesn't play like that in the regular season. He's either a starter or a very high quality backup. So I don't know. He'll have these games where in the playoffs where he regularly has like 4 or 5 blocks or something, and I just don't know why he doesn't do that more often. But anyway, yeah, I think they're gonna definitely want to see what they're gonna do about the point guard rotation, and then I'm curious to see how that goes.
Does Thonmaker have Malice at the Palace potential?
What do
Like
you mean?
you saw his flying kicks in that
Oh,
FIBA game. I mean, could he like do something similar in the NBA?
well,
I really value that in a player, the ability to just start a massive fight. And if Thonmaker can do that,
that is one high quality asset in that case.
I never saw him have that. I never imagined Thonmaker as a guy who would throw flying kicks
Yeah, I
in an
didn't
NBA.
expect that either. And that guy was yeah, he was doing it. That was definitely a man of many talents there. So I think what we're gonna cover next. Oh, so do you guys think it's possible for Giannis to be like an MVP this season? What do you think it would take
To become an MVP.
to be an MVP this season? Yeah.
Um, Other players not having a better MVP season, like it will take James Harden not going crazy. It will take
They
LeBron
need
not going crazy.
they need to win the division with him being the lead scorer on their team, probably.
I think
Because
they're
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I think they're gonna have to be like a top 2 or 3 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Right,
And
yeah.
then they're gonna have to Giannis is gonna have to average 30 points or damn near 30 points a game.
like the last two MVPs were put up crazy numbers. Actually, the last four, if you include Curry's two MVP seasons, those were insane seasons. So
Yeah, I think Giannis is
maybe,
gonna have to legitimately put up like 30 points a game if he wants to be in the
yeah,
conversation.
30 points and 10 rebounds, 7 assists,
Yeah, and he's
2
gotta
blocks, 2 steals.
yeah, he's gotta lead the Bucks to like almost 60 wins, top 2, 3 seed.
Not 60 wins. Like, who could they give? Like, the important thing about the MVP, it's not just about performance, but also narrative.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
like, Harden's narrative was like, he deserves it. You know, he should have got, he
The
almost got it
perennial
last year,
runner-up.
and he's doing the same thing
Yeah.
this year, so he deserves it.
Mhm.
Westbrook was the triple double season, so they might give it to Giannis as sort of like a, it's your time right now, Giannis. You're the best player in your conference. Go.
Right. I just think it's just unfortunately for Giannis, like other players have like better narratives than him right now. So he's gonna have to put up
Who?
some really crazy numbers just because his narrative isn't the greatest. Because I think guys like Kawhi, DeRozan, LeBron kind of have better narratives right now.
I only see LeBron as potentially having a better narrative than Giannis.
I think Kawhi like almost objectively has the best narrative right now.
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think the NBA does. I think the media landscape of the NBA wants like Kawhi to go to the Lakers and just so that it can be a show again.
Right.
Okay. That's fair. Okay, so we went over what it will take. Now, let's all go and predict their win losses and one other prediction. So I'll start. I think the Bucks are gonna win about 53 games, give or take a couple. Oh, excuse me. And my other prediction is that Eric Bledsoe is traded by the deadline.
Ooh, I like that.
Yep, I'm going
Yeah.
bold. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think if they win their division, that's one thing I do think they do. I think it's essential, so it's not going to be a incredibly hard division to win.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they definitely win their division. I think that Giannis finishes second in the MVP voting probably this year. I don't think he wins it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he finishes second, and I think they win. I think they get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, that's interesting. So that means they either beat the Celtics or the Raptors on the way there, most likely.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Who do you have winning MVP if you haven't finished in second?
I truly think that it could be. I want to say it could be James Harden. I think that he's going to play a lot more this year than he did last year. I think that he could just play the numbers again.
I
But
see.
I think a bolder prediction would be saying like someone on the Warriors will win it.
No one
But
in the Warriors is winning an MVP.
you never know because he could have an injury. But I think it'd be Harden again. I think Harden set himself to win another MVP considering what they're probably gonna do with Chris Paul this year.
Okay, I see. What about you, man?
I'm gonna go with Giannis is gonna win MVP, and hell, I'll go for it. Giannis is gonna average a triple double.
Oh, oh, okay.
And all of a sudden, Westbrook's MVP season is not that special.
Everybody's doing it. How many games do you think they're gonna win?
About like 50, yeah, at least 50, like 55 maybe.
53-29 just looks really nice in my head to me, so I'm saying 53 and 29.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like the triple double average. That would be he might win like most improved player and MVP if that happens.
He might be the only player to win most improved player twice then.
Yeah, no, like honestly, if he did that, he would probably I think he deserved most improved player. Like I don't see how you top that after like having a pretty good season, but not like a 30-point triple double type season. Especially after your team got better and you have Mike Budenholzer as your coach,
I
who
mean,
like you don't expect to get triple double
well, I think
type seasons
because Mike
with.
Budenholzer is the coach, he will have more opportunities to make assists.
That's true. Um, okay, and then yeah, I do like the Eric Bledsoe getting traded before the deadline prediction. I think it's more likely than people think. Um, but yeah, any other notes on the Bucks, or should we move on to the Wizards?
Now let's go into the Wizards.
All right, cool. So Washington Wizards. Over the offseason, Jody Meeks picked up his player option for $3.5 million, because that was completely unexpected for him to do. And Austin Rivers was also traded to the Wizards for Marcin Gortat. Dwight Howard picked up off of waivers from the Nets. Picked up for a tax MLE around $5 million, I believe. Thomas Bryant also acquired off waivers, previously with the Lakers, I believe. Drafted Troy Brown Jr. with the number 15 pick and signed Jeff Green on a minimum deal. So, let's talk about some of their moves. First, let's go over the draft choice of Troy Brown Jr. What do you guys think about him? A couple of the questions I had was, what do you think you can bring to the team, and can he contribute immediately next year? Let's start with you, man.
I don't know that much about Torrey Brown Jr.
I read a little bit about him. I think he could contribute to some degree. I don't think he'll contribute that much. I think he'll just play like a bench player maybe, but like he could be like a 3-and-D player if he pans out, because he's very athletic, and he's not super athletic, but he has the length and the size to guard like multiple positions 1 through 4, and that's the biggest thing about him, that they like bend a lot of positions, and I think that's what you're hoping for. He can nail down his 3-point shot, because it wasn't great in college, but you just hope that he can somehow get that offense up to where his defense is, and then be a serviceable role player for them.
Right. I just think that, like, I don't know too much about him, but I do know that, like, if you can get a wing player who you like.
It was a reach. He's really young. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest like pro, is that he's really young, so he has time to develop. So and they reached on him like pretty far to get him. I think at 15, he was like made a, like the 20th, 26th ranked plus player in the draft. But they're just hoping that he can develop with them as soon as possible and get up to speed for the NBA.
Yeah, I think that, like, if you can get a wing and he's young and he can develop and show some things that you like in him, then in today's NBA you can never really have too many like 6'7", 6'6", 6'8" type wings. So you just might as well just go for it, and they did. So I can't fault them for it. And they're gonna be playing Otto Porter Jr. and Kelly Oubre a lot more, and he can hopefully learn from them. So I'm fine with it. As long as it turns out well in a few years. So they have a few years to get him going. And he had a few good games in a summer league. So, I think they did fine there. So we on to the Austin Rivers trade. How do you think, so a couple questions. How do you think Austin Rivers can contribute to the team? And do you think how does his abilities help off the bench? What kind of lineups could he be in? Who could he play with? Start with you, Jimmy.
I think that he will contribute to this team. I mean, I think the trade itself was a good trade. So, I mean, that's one thing in itself, that it was a good trade. Sorry. That was a good trade for them to make, because they get the money is almost essentially it's not that much different. So you get a younger player for the same amount of money than you had with Gortat, which is I think a win any day of the week, really. Especially if he can provide depth for you, which he does for the shooting guard, because obviously when you saw last year with Wall out, they went, but you're not sure if they can always sustain that or not in the playoffs. So I think that he just provides good depth for them in case of any sort of injury to their backcourt, and he could also be just a good combo guard if you want to spell Wall at times.
Right. I think he's also a pretty good shooter for them. He's also pretty he could get pretty hot at times for the Clippers.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
he's a
definitely off the
fairly he works.
Yeah, so definitely off the bench he can help a lot with spacing and things like that, and maybe help guys like Kelly Oubre go to work. So he'll help them a lot. He'll help them, and hopefully it doesn't cause any issues like Gortat was. So you had to get rid of Gortat to keep Wall happy. So and you got a good player for him. So there's no problems with that, I think. What do you think, Mang?
I think Austin Rivers is the kind of player that would work really well under Scott Brooks, like bit ISO combo guard, takes the offense to himself. So I think he would be a really good backup. And he might even be a Sixth Man of the Year candidate for them. Yeah, so
Yeah, he should play.
as a trade,
Yeah, he should play pretty well for them.
as a trade, it was really good basketball wise, not just personal. With you have to get rid of Gortat sort of thing, but in terms of basketball, I think it will work good for them.
I totally agree. So on to Dwight Howard acquisition. How do you guys think that's gonna work out? Do you think he's gonna like hurt the team? Do you think he's gonna be a net improvement over Gortat? Those things. So I'll start. I think they did fine. Just considering the fact that you have to get rid of Gortat and he was your starting center, and Dwight Howard. If I think of a I think like I've heard it put before is like it's really a matter of like is Dwight Howard gonna buy in to playing his role and running like pick and rolls with John Wall and running to the rim instead of thinking that he's Orlando Dwight from the 2009 Eastern Conference Finals. So, or was that the 2008 Eastern Conference Finals? I forgot.
2009 was when
Where it
he
was
went to
Orlando versus
finals.
Cleveland. That was
2009.
That was 2009.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Instead of thinking he's Dwight from the 2009 Eastern Conference Finals, which like that seems to be the main problem. He still thinks he's that Dwight, and he's not. He should be a guy who's running to the rim, running pick and roll, setting hard screens, stuff like that. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. Just means that his role is changing. And he needs to accept that. That's the main question with him, really. I have no doubt that he can be a quality pickup for them if he buys in. But if he doesn't buy in, there's going to be problems, and then they're going to hear people coming out about we heard some yelling in the locker room between Dwight and Wall after some bad loss or something like that. So for me, it's just seeing if he's going to buy in. Uh, um, previous like the previous teams he's been on, like Charlotte and Atlanta and the reactions from when he was gone tells me that he's probably not going to buy in. So that could go not well. But if you have a chance, if there's a chance for him to do that, and he'll have some great games. Like I think he had like that didn't he have like a 30-30 or like a 30-20 game or something like that, like a 20
Yeah, he
assist
did.
game with the Hornets last year. So he'll have some
Yeah.
games like that, and Marcin Gortat's not going to be doing that. So at the very least, maybe you'll get some of those, even if the chemistry in the locker room is being eroded. I mean, I guess the Wizards have enough of those already, so maybe it won't affect them that much. But
Well, we
hope.
know that Wall is the one who wanted Dwight to come. So I don't think that there's going to be a problem between him and Dwight.
Mm.
But maybe with the others, if maybe there'll be, maybe players will start taking sides in the locker room. Dwight is going to be on John Wall's side, and maybe other players will have a different opinion.
Yeah, because Beal does need to get more touches anyway. So if we're taking away too many touches from Beal and he's not happy with that, it's also hurting the team because Beal is like one of the most is probably the most efficient scorer on the team. And then if Dwight Howard's just like I want to post up and be Orlando Dwight, then it's just not gonna work out. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Dwight is a bit underrated right now, and for the contract he's getting, it's definitely a really good value.
Right. I mean, you're paying Gortat like a lot of money to be a 34-year-old like liability on the court at times. Like he was declining. It was obvious his numbers were going down in seasons, and if you can not pay him all that much and get someone like Dwight for pennies on the dollar, I'd take that. Because I mean, it's Dwight Howard at whatever age he's at. I would take that at like what for like most minimum contract. That's fine with me.
It was a tax MLE that they signed them for, so like around 5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's fine. So you aired out our thoughts on that. Jeff Green signing. Thoughts on that in general? Personally,
I'm not a fan of Jeff Green.
Elaborate.
I've never thought he was ever like that effective in the role he was supposed to be when his potential. I know he had his obviously medical thing, his heart. But like even when he came back from that, I think he was really hyped up by the teams he was on, and he never really played that well and was ever that big of a contributor for the teams he was on. I thought he was the best time he had was when he was on the Clippers. I think he was, and that's just Doc Rivers, players that he likes more often than not. I think. Like I never thought he was like a great player that should keep getting signed like he was, but that's just me.
Meg, what about you?
I think it'll be interesting. Jeff Green, you can get a really good player for one game once in a while, but most of the time, how can you have him be a consistent player?
Yeah, that's the biggest gripe with them.
Yeah, I mean, like, so what is he like? Is he the seventh or eighth guy in the rotation?
Yeah.
Like he's not gonna start. So you're the 5 players behind. Austin Rivers is their main sixth man. I'd say you have Kelly Oubre over him. So you're the eighth. You're sort of like the eighth most important player on the team. So I think that's okay. And then if he's playing really really good, you can put him with the starters. And then when Jeff Green is at his best, he's a really really good player.
Mm-hmm.
And you're almost guaranteed to win the game. So yeah.
I just don't know how many you can get that best from, like 10.
Well, 10 out of 80, like 10 guaranteed wins. That's pretty good to me. Like,
I guess you might hope those come in the playoffs because that's also one thing where he's never that good at the playoffs.
I mean, it came in the playoffs one time, and
yeah,
with the Cavs.
That's what's carried him like for most of the time. Like he's been like he has like one good game and thing that's like kind of justifies to everyone that I always think that he's just so inconsistent that he just always has that one game where everyone will just buy back into him, and it always annoys me that he always gets like this buyback like a factor in it all the time. Like, come on, guys, like he's not that good. Like we need, like, I don't know.
Sometimes that one game will win you the whole series. So, if he's your eighth best player, go for it.
I just always just think that I just think he won. I don't think he should be that high up on your depth chart as the eighth best player. I don't think he's that anymore. Like maybe he was that when Dr. Rivers was coaching him because Dr. Rivers knew how to get the most out of him at times, I thought, but I don't think he's that player anymore.
Personally, I like the signing. Like I think he's decent value for a veteran's minimum. Like it doesn't really hurt you to have Jeff Green on your team for a vet minimum. I mean, if you're gonna be like Orlando and massively overpay him when he's clearly not that player, then yeah, it's another conversation. But like, if you're gonna pay him a veteran's minimum to be like a power PF or just a guy who can score a little bit, take advantage of a few mismatches, maybe hit a few occasional threes, and have the occasional 30-point outburst game where he goes 12 of 17 from the field. For a minimum, sure, like I'll take it. He had that performance in Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals where Kevin Love was out, and he pretty much stepped up to be the second option for LeBron. And like he did brick a bunch of shots before he started making his stuff, but I mean, hey, it's something. Like you can be a decent rotational piece for a team. I still think like you hope that you can have someone better than him for like your seventh or eighth man. So I get where you're coming from, Jimmy. But like,
yeah,
I don't have a problem with it. Is what I'm saying.
and it's like in his best, in his the years where he played his like most minutes and all like in the span of that when he was really good, he only averaged at most like 17 points. That was like the most he ever that was with 30 minutes a game in Boston in 2013. He averaged 17. I mean, that was I think that he's a okay guy, but I think he runs very hot and very cold, but mostly cold. And that's the issue I have with him. That he's not that. It's more. He's inconsistent, but he's mostly consistently bad than he is consistently good.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's mainly just like you have to. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of very frustrating or head scratching games from him.
Yeah, I just feel like that's a player where I'm always like wondering like if they didn't have him in certain times, would they have won this game? And then obviously the times where he wins you a game, and it's like, and then he kind of like glosses over the whole like bad things about him. That's where I get like annoyed. Where it's like I still don't think the good things he does outweigh the negatives he has on the court at times. That's always me.
Okay, that's a fair perspective. Fun fact: he is the only other, along with Kevin Durant, last remaining player in the league who played for the Seattle SuperSonics. So, yeah.
True.
But I mean, but I think he can help in some situations. But yeah, he can definitely be a negative sometimes. So I thought he was fine for the Cavs last year. Like he was one of their better players off the bench, and he was like the seventh man along with like Corver and Wade when they were on the team. So I mean, I don't know. Yeah, he can be up and down. That's very true though. What do you think this
Yeah.
team's playoff ceiling is? May.
Ceiling second round, but that's it. Um,
Yeah,
they'd have to get lucky to get out of the first
Yeah,
round.
I agree with Matt. I'm just always like concerned with like how far they even go in the playoffs. Like you're always thinking that they have a good team on paper, and then there's something that happens during the season where they don't maybe come to the expectation they should, and they just like either way win a playoff round, and then they come off that and just lose the next round, or they just completely run flat in the playoffs, and you don't know what's going on.
And they're not a top four seed, right? You
I
have the
don't think
Celtics
so.
ahead of them,
Oh,
the
I don't think
Sixers,
they're
the
top four seed.
Raptors,
I
No,
don't think they are.
and
I think they're a
maybe
fringe playoff team.
Mm.
no, they're in the playoffs. Who on the East is going to make the playoffs ahead of them?
That's like saying
I
Detroit's gonna
mean,
be better than them, which is not gonna happen.
you never know because like last year they were what, the seventh seed in the end, or the eighth seed.
I mean, John Wall was out for like 40 games or something.
That's fair, but I mean, even with that, they still were in that low seed. They still just they played
They were
the
the eighth seed.
Celtics.
They were the
They
eighth
see
seed.
the
I still
They
Celtics.
played the
Yeah,
Raptors.
I
Raptors.
got them ahead of the Pacers or the Heat, so I see them as
Whoa,
fifth.
you have them ahead of the Pacers?
Yeah, I see them
Ooh, I don't
as
know.
like
Really?
I
a
don't know
fifth
about
or
that,
sixth
buddy.
seed.
I don't know about that, buddy. I don't know about that.
I just do. I don't. I think if I'm gonna go and say Sixers, Celtics, Raptors, Bucks, Pacers,
Heat. That's the only team
Heat,
that could possibly be better.
and I'm gonna say. I mean, I could see the Pistons being the 8th seed, but again, that's why I say fringe playoff because I don't know if the Wizards are that good of a team because we keep thinking they are. They don't do any. They don't do what they're supposed to do, and they had this like infighting for whatever reason when they're supposed to be a good team, and it just makes me laugh when I think about them because we're always expecting them to be really good, and then they always like disappoint everyone.
I believe in them. I think they're going to be much better this year. Dwight Howard and Austin Rivers are good acquisitions. John Wall, if he's healthy whole season, they'll definitely be more than the eighth seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. Um. Oh yeah. So yeah, I agree. I think they're a second round exit at best. That's about all they can really do. They can't break. They're not gonna break into the conference finals. I think they'll maybe like go 5, 6 games in the second round. They'll just bow out, and that'll be like the best season that they can have.
Do you guys think with John Wall and Bradley Beal they'll ever win a conference final?
Together,
Yeah.
maybe not. Like
Probably not. I don't think they're like not capable of it. I just don't think that they're gonna be able to get the team around them.
Bradley Beal, I think Bradley Beal will have a better chance than John Wall to win a to get to the conference finals on his own than John Wall.
Or as like the second or third guy on the team. I mean, I like him in Washington. It's just that like maybe he's not being used best there. And maybe Yeah, I mean, and Bradley Beal is just like 25 years old, and he turns 26 on June 28th. So like, he kind of has a long way ahead of him in his prime, and he could maybe even get slightly better. So yeah, I can definitely see what you mean by just a better chance for Bradley Beal there. Okay, and so let's end the Wizards on uh their win-loss prediction and one other prediction for the team. We'll start with Jimmy.
I just about the prediction is about Otto Porter.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, we should talk about that. How do you think Otto Porter fits in? Do you think he should be flipped for something else, or how do you think Otto Porter is gonna make a difference, Jimmy?
I think that he should be able to fit in. I mean, you hope that this player that you've had this long and you're trying to develop and you pay this money is going to fit into this team.
Yeah.
So I think that he has to fit in. I think they'll try to make it so he can fit in as well as possible. I think Scott Brooks is trying to do that. But I think that if you flip him for something, that's a really bad sign.
Yeah.
Because you just paid this dude, and I don't know if you're going to get back value with this trade if you do. If we were to try to flip him, like you're not going to get back value, and and what do you think would be value if you were trying to trade Otto Porter at this point in his career, and you're not even get that now? So I think you really need to make sure he fits into your system because you're really committing to him by paying that money in the first place.
Right. Man.
Um, with Otto Porter, or
With Otto Porter.
I think he, I don't know how much he can get better. Like
Yeah.
he he's very good at like off ball, but maybe that's all you need. So has Otto Porter reached the ceiling? Or
I think he kind of is like who he is in terms of like the third best guy right now.
Yeah,
or maybe like he can make smarter decisions once he gets the ball and make the pass. Or he could get better at posting up so you could play him as a small ball four. But other than that, what can you get out of him? I don't know.
I mean, right now he's like pretty valuable as like a guy who's a very solid defender and can shoot the three ball really well. Like career, he's a like for his career he's a 40% 3-point shooter. So that's pretty freaking good. And he's hovering at around 79% at the line. So I mean, the guy is clearly a very good player. It's just so like we don't know how well his talents. I think he fits in very well as like a third best guy on any team. What is interesting, it's just that like he only does like a couple things very well, but he's still a good player. But right now, like you want to try and see what else you can get out of him. That's because he gave him all that money after he matched what the Nets gave him on his RFA offer sheet. So yeah, I mean I think he should stick around, and the Wizards can hopefully try to expand on him, and maybe he'll surprise some people with new stuff that he gets in his arsenal. I mean he's also um, on the lower side of 25 years old, so still fairly young. Has a lot more years of his prime left, so yeah. And now on to the win-loss prediction and one other prediction for the team. Start with Jimmy.
as far as predictions,
Yes.
yeah, I think that as I said, I think they're a fringe playoff team. I don't know if they make the playoffs or not. I would say probably like the 7 seed is probably the top like I'd say that's the top they could probably get in this tournament. I don't think they're going to be very good this year. I think they're still like I think Dwight Howard might be the reason they don't do very well this year because
Oh,
that's they wanted him to be that player. I think he'll wreck the locker room because you can see they already had issues last year with the locker room. So you bring Dwight Howard in, that's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna end well. So I think they're gonna be a 7 seed at best, and that Dwight Howard is released from the team midseason.
you took my prediction. Dang it. Okay, go ahead, Jimmy.
You mean me?
Mang, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Manga, sorry.
I think I'm not gonna rush into the 6th seed, but I think they're gonna win like 43, 45 wins.
Hmm.
And I do not think Dwight Howard will be released mid-season. I think. Well, I'm gonna say that this is gonna be a more a drama-less season for the Wizards.
That is bold right there. A dramaless season for the Wizards. Okay,
So, yeah.
so I pretty much think they're gonna win around like 42, 43 games, and my bold prediction is that they get swept in the first round. That's so mean, but no, I think they're gonna end up playing like You know what's gonna happen? They're gonna end up playing like Boston in the first round. They're just gonna get swept. Like, how embarrassing would that be? I'm just imagining like a 2 versus 7 matchup, or where like the Raptors got first seed and Boston got second, and the Boston plays the Wizards, and Boston just there with like all of these star players in their starting lineup. Like they got Jason Tatum, they got Jalen Brown, they got Hayward, they got Kyrie, and then the Wizards kind of sitting there with like Bradley Beal and John Wall, and Otto Porter's kind of there like, okay then. That could definitely be a sweep right there.
I might have another prediction, but
Let me hear it.
nah. I was gonna say Bradley Beal wins Most Improved Player, but he's already. I think he's too good already to win Most Improved Player.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so
Yeah.
that pretty much covers everything. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll do episode 4 at some point, probably next week. Talking about 3 other teams, which we will figure out at a later time. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.